Are you looking for a faith-based Easter card idea? Well, watch as I demonstrate how to make my simply lovely Easter card using the new Stampin' Up! Easter Message stamp set. I'm so glad you're joining me today. Welcome to StampingSmiles.com. I'm Shelley Godbee, the owner and CEO of Stamping Smiles, and for 16 years I've been teaching others how to create their own hand-stamped smiles. So while my Easter message card is simply lovely, I did add a couple of extra steps to make it extra special. Here's a closer view of the Easter message stamp set. We're going to use the cross today, and we're going to do some watercoloring. So we're going to use Whisper White thick cardstock. The Whisper White thick cardstock has the same finish as the Whisper White cardstock. It's designed to take ink for beautiful stamped images, but it's also a little bit heavier, so it's not going to have a tendency to warp when we watercolor. And because we're watercoloring, I need a permanent black ink, and my ink of choice is the basic black Archival Stampin' Pad. So we're going to push, flip, and lock that lid into place. And so I have this in clear mount. It's also available in wood mount. So we're going to get this good and inked up. And then I like to turn it over and make sure I've got really good ink coverage. And you know what? When a stamp is this big, I like to go ahead and there we go. And let's get this in the center. I'm just going to press everywhere. Oh, beautiful. Okay, while I have this out, let's go ahead and do some other stamping. My greeting, I'm going to stamp this on the white Vellum cardstock. And I'm using He Is Not Here, He Is Risen. And we're going to give this a little bit of time to dry. So let's go ahead and here we go. Very nice. Well, you know what? We might as well just finish our stamping. For inside the card, I have a piece of Whisper White. I use the Whisper White for inside. I don't need the extra weight. And then I have the Happy Easter in the same beautiful font. And there we go. So we're going to go ahead and do some embossing while we let this dry. This isn't as porous as the Whisper White, so it just needs a little bit of time to dry. And it's always good to give it a little bit of time before we start watercoloring. As I said, my Easter message card is simple, and I had added a strip of crumb cake cardstock to it. And I liked it, but I thought, how could I dress that up? So I started thinking embossing folders, and then I thought, oh my goodness, the wood grain embossing folder, that'd be great. The cross is wood. So we're going to go ahead and open this up and set this in. I just want to make sure it's straight. There we go. And so then I've got my Big Shot die cutting machine, and the sandwich is we need the Big Shot platform, a cutting pad, our embossing folder with our cardstock in it, and another cutting pad. There we go. And so we're going to feed this through and emboss that wood grain design right into our crumb cake cardstock. Let's have a look. Isn't that fantastic? This was one of the steps that made my card extra special. Our cross has had plenty of time to dry, so let's go ahead and start watercoloring. So I have here the Crumb Cake Classic Stampin' Pad. I'm going to take the palm of my hand and push on the stamp pad, and it's going to push some of the ink into the lid, okay? And so then I'm going to watercolor with an Aqua Painter. Love these. All right, so take that cap off, and this reservoir holds water, just ordinary tap water. So I have here a napkin. So I always start by squeezing to get it going and wipe off the excess. I don't want it to be really wet. That's perfect. And then by doing this, it also makes sure that I get off any ink in case it wasn't put away clean. So I'm coming over here and just picking up a little bit of color and start filling in. We've got that nice fine tip where we can get into small areas. Okay. Thought about using a different color for the X here, you know, holding the two boards together, but we're going to be putting the vellum over top of it, and I thought, it just won't really show. It won't make that much difference. So I'm just going to fill all of this in with crumb cake. There we go. Looking good. Okay, so what we can do is come over here and pick up some and add a little bit more where these lines are, and to give it some shading. Very nice. And there we are, we're done with that. So let's go ahead and squeeze, clean this off, and now we're ready for our next color. So to put this away, just flip it, click, and you know that it's shut. I chose Perfect Plum because purple is the color of royalty. So again, let's push down. Okay, there we go. So let's pick this up, pick up some color, and go ahead and fill this in. Ah, there we go. See, this is easy to do. This won't take any time at all. Watercoloring is so peaceful. The Aqua Painters just make it such a treat. Okay, so what we can do again is pick up some of the heavier, and do you see these lines that I'm following? They're, you know, the designer, whoever designed the stamp, the artist, is showing us where the shading would naturally go with the folds and all that, so we can just follow along that. There we go, and give it a little bit more interest than just a solid, you know, one shade of color. Multiple shades are nice. There we go, we're done. So go ahead and close that, click, and then again, before we put it away, let's go ahead and squeeze, and then we are all set for the next time. The vellum we stamped is going to go right over top, but let's give this just a little bit of time to dry, and while we're doing that, we can go ahead and start putting on the layers. So you can see how pretty that is. Look at that. And so I ended up with Elegant Eggplant for my card base. I tried the Perfect Plum, and it just, you know, because I was coordinating with the ink I used the Perfect Plum there. And I just wasn't loving it. When I changed over to the Elegant Eggplant, I thought, oh, there it is. And still wanting a little bit of something, I did add a strip of the Perfect Plum. Look at that with it. Just that little touch can add a whole lot. Okay, so this is textured. There's a lot of texture. So if I try to use my fast fuse or snail adhesive, it's probably not going to hold. Not as well as I'd like anyway. So we're going to use the mini glue dots. I'm going to take it out of the container, peel them back until I can see in the light one of the dots, and I'm going to take the cardstock to it and press down. There we go. We don't want to touch them because it'll take away from their extreme stickiness, the whole reason that we're using them. There we go. So now let's go ahead and put it on this strip. Oh, I want about a 1/4 inch of that showing. Not pressed down yet. I see one here. Let me fold it over. Didn't want to touch it, but I missed the cardstock a little bit. Okay. It's hanging off that edge. Does that look even from top to bottom? Oh, that's looking really good. Okay. And so on this piece, see, this is nice and flat. I could go ahead and use the snail or the fast fuse, but you know what? I need it for over here too, the mini glue dots, so it's just easier. Let's just stay with the mini glue dots. Put one on each side. Let's put one on the center edges, and then at the bottom. Here we go. And yep, I did it again, so let's just help that over. Okay. So I have some, I didn't want it right up to the edge, I wanted to see some of the Elegant Eggplant. There we go. We like it, so now we press. Isn't that nice? And I already went ahead and slipped in that insert that we stamped, so that's looking really sharp. Alright, so now we're ready to attach this. So there's trying to put vellum on without the adhesive showing. That's just, there's a trick to it. So what I decided to do was I got out my fine tip glue pen so I can put down just the smallest little drop. I know I'm going to be tying around it some of the solid Elegant Eggplant baker's twine. I thought, okay, so how about we take a piece and put it where I believe that the Elegant Eggplant is going to cover that up, that baker's twine. Let's see. There we go. Got a little drop. Well, that was okay, but it wasn't the hold that I wanted. And so I just went up here and just put a little drop. there as well. Okay, something important about this, see there's a needle in here, you put that back in and it doesn't clog up on you. It's ready to use every time. Getting that needle in sometimes. There we go. If you do that, you are all set. So now we've got our vellum right over top. There we go. Let's see. Let's hold that. Let it get a little bit of a hold. There we go. Now, it did make it a little bit darker at the top, but if I hadn't told you, I don't think you would have noticed, okay? So now let's go ahead with our elegant eggplant, the solid. I like that we've got it in some solid colors. I mean, it's pretty with the white as well, but the solid is a little bit dressier, I think, for such an elegant card. There we go. And then just tie this off. I decided not to do a bow. I'm just going to go ahead and tie it and let the tails hang down a little bit. Oh, looking very nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and trim. And trim. Oh, let's get the right one. Okay, I think that's a little bit longer than I want. I want this to come under. Here we go. Fool with that a little bit. There we go. One up and one down, and a little bit longer than I'd like, so let's go ahead and trim some more. I work off of the roll because I tend to waste less when I do that. Okay, so look, we've got this. Isn't this looking nice? And then onto our card. And I was liking it, but just wishing for something a little bit more. So I took it to my mom's house. I said, what do you think? She says, really pretty. I said, I know, but I'd like to add a little bit more color. And it was her suggestion to add gold. And I said, I know exactly what to do. I've got the gold foil sheets. Isn't this pretty? Look at that. Okay, so because I have that baker's twine there, let's go ahead and use mini glue dots again. Anytime you have something that's not going to allow the cardstock to lay, or the two papers to lay flat against each other, it's a good idea to pull out something like the mini glue dots or Stampin Dimensionals. And so I didn't cut a huge border, just a small, whoops, a small one to add that little bit of color. Because I didn't want to take away from the beauty of the cross. I just wanted to enhance it. Oh, there we go. And so now, instead of just flat, because again, like I was telling you, I've got this textured, so I either need mini glue dots, but I do love my dimensionals. Adding some dimension really steps up our cards. So these are honeycombed. Let's just put one in each corner. You know what? Let's do one in the center for good measure. Give it support. There we go. And so then just take your thumbnail and press down, and those edges pop right up, making it easy to get those off. Get the backing pieces off. And there we go. Let's put this right about here. And then we have a simply lovely Easter card. All the supplies to make my simply lovely Easter message card are listed under the video and available to order in my online store, www.shopwithshelly.com. And when you place your March 2017 Stampin' Up! Order with me, I'm going to send you one of my Easter message cards. So go to my online store, www.shopwithshelly.com, to place your Stampin' Up! Order. I'm Shelly Godby, teaching you how to create hand stamped smiles. Thanks for watching.